Hi, I'm back. In case you're wondering about the screaming and craziness in the background, that's my little nephew playing the Wii. So he's having fun with that. And I'm almost done doing my nails, so I will be a little bit less distracted in this video. So in my last video, I left off talking about how back after the fall of Adam and Eve and all that, how the whole landscape of the world changed because back before then they had the innocence of children. They were pretty much vegetarians or vegans. They didn't eat animals. Animals didn't eat each other or people. They didn't have to worry about a tiger or a dinosaur or whatever gobbling them up, you know. It was pretty much a peaceful planet back in the day, back before they screwed everything up. So, anyway, but then they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and then they realized that outside of the Garden of Eden they didn't have, a whole lot of resources at their disposal. They actually had to work for their food and for survival. And for survival because animals were now vicious. And people were vicious, and they were, animals and people were at odds. Greenpeace or, other animal rights groups nowadays talk about how people and animals should get along and everything like that. Well, a lot of people don't really see it that way because they see animals as being like, creatures that might kill them. And so there's kind of this, unless you're talking about a house pet, a lot of the times people have this idea that animals are out to get them, and animals kind of tend to be timid around people and so forth. But back in the day, back in the Garden of Eden, there was none of that. People and animals got along perfectly. You could have, sit down and probably have a conversation with a lion. And the reason why I say that way, that people and animals probably talk to each other, is because in the account of the Garden of Eden, the snake, which was the devil in the form of a snake, came and talked to Eve, and she thought it was like perfectly normal, so she wasn't like freaking out like, oh my gosh, why is a snake talking to me? This is freaky. She was like, oh yeah, hey, what's up, and gets into a long conversation with the snake. So apparently it wasn't that unusual for people and animals to talk. And also an account of the creation, Adam named all the animals. So apparently the animals were cool with that, and they were like, oh, I'm a lion? Okay, cool. Yeah, Mr. Lion. How's it going, Adam? So people and animals got along pretty well, and so they were vegans or vegetarians, and everybody was happy. And then Eve went and screwed it all up by eating the forbidden fruit. Which, why would God place the forbidden fruit there in the first place? Why would he allow the humans to fuck it all up? What was the grand plan or design? Because obviously she didn't just screw it up for herself and for Adam, but for future generations of humans all throughout history. Because now that people knew what good and evil was, sometimes, certain people, evil seems more fun. And so, that's what they choose versus doing good or doing the right thing. And that obviously has a domino effect. It doesn't just affect them, but it affects other people when they choose to do the wrong thing or do evilness. So, that is something that I don't have the answer to. I wish I could tell you why God would, allow that to happen. That just seems really screwed up. But, a lot of people, their response is, oh, well, we have free will. God wants us to have free will. He's not going to just be like a grand puppeteer and just, pull the strings and tell us how we should live. He wants us to have free will and a choice and everything else. But I don't know. You would think if God was all-wise and all-knowing, he would know better than to let humans just do their own thing. But that really hasn't worked out all that well. from experience. So, I don't know. Truth is, I don't know. If that counting of the fall is true, why would God allow that to happen? And then there are other aspects of the whole creation account, and more specifically the fall. So after that, people started doing all sorts of crazy shit. Adam and Eve had 2 children that are named. They may have had more children than that. Apparently they did, because there had to be some intermarriage and like incestual stuff going on for there to be future generations of humans, unless God just happened to plop some more humans down on Earth. So back in the day, incest was no big, So anyway, so Cain and Abel were 2 brothers that basically hated each other. Abel was the good brother, we assume. He may have been a little, uppity, goody two-shoes and kind of pissing his brother off, egging him on and so forth. Who knows? But, he's painted as the good guy in the story. So, but Cain, on the other hand, he let his anger and his frustration get a hold of him to the point that he beat the shit out of his brother, beat him up with a rock or whatever. I think it was a rock. Anyway, he basically ended up killing his brother. And then he was a fugitive. Apparently, there was some people that wanted him dead. Who those people were, I don't know. Was it his dad, his mom, brothers and sisters? Who knows? But he fled for his life. Well, all the generations, from that point till the flood, they lived hundreds and hundreds of years. If you look at like the genealogies in the Bible, there's like so-and-so begat so-and-so, and so-and-so begat so-and-so, and so-and-so had so many children. And then when they were like 500 years old, they died. So that's a long time. You'd think they'd probably be like really old with the beard, long white beard, like in the old paintings of like Moses and whatnot. So yeah. So considering that people lived that long back in the day, it would stand to reason that animals would live that long as well. And a lot of people seem to think that lizards and Komodo dragons and certain other creatures have kind of certain similarities to like the ancient dinosaurs. So it's possible that Komodo dragons and lizards and other sorts of creatures that are alive nowadays are distant relatives or descendants of the ancient dinosaurs, but that because the dinosaurs, don't live as long, they don't reach that giant, massive stature that, the ancient dinosaurs are said to have had, they're, like the T-Rex or the Brontosaurus or what have you, that are supposed to be massive, massive creatures. So it's possible, people talk about, evolution stuff, they talk about mastodons and saber-toothed tigers and all this kind of stuff, and the mastodons are supposed to be like ginormous elephants and whatnot. So it's possible, even fairly likely, that back in the day, that because of animals and people living longer, that they reached a certain evolutionary stage that's not possible now today because of shorter lifespans. So that could be what happened with the dinosaurs. They probably died out, or they just never reached that certain stature, or size that they used to have back in the day. That's one possible theory. And then another one is that in the days before the flood, there are some people that think that maybe because of people living so long and everything, that perhaps that society reached certain levels of technology and wisdom and so forth. So it could have been like a modern day age back before the flood. It might not have been the primitive world that we might imagine or might think of. And being that they might have been such a highly advanced society, it's possible that they came to disrespect the world around them, like a lot of people are nowadays, in relation to nature and in the world around them. So, in the account of Noah and the flood, the Bible talks about how people were just evil. You know, they're just all the time evil and not being considerate of other people. They were just, basically all their thoughts were evil. So considering that, wouldn't it stand to reason that maybe they disrespected the dinosaurs and maybe poached the dinosaurs, since there was now a man versus beast kind of mentality in the world, that maybe then there was some killing of certain kinds of animals, and maybe the dinosaurs were wiped out by humans even before the flood. So even though there were supposed to be 2 of every kind of animal on Noah's Ark, that maybe the dinosaurs didn't make it there, that they didn't survive because maybe they had been wiped out before that point. So maybe nowadays people are able to find fossilized dinosaur bones or whatever, or dig up dinosaur bones, but that these bones are very ancient, and that the dinosaurs had become extinct long before the modern age, maybe even possibly before the flood. So that's another theory. But I do think because of all the discoveries of dinosaur bones, I think that it is possible that dinosaurs lived, and I think that they very likely lived around the same time as humans back in the day. As for the age that the world is, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, the Earth is only so many thousands of years old. Well, the evidence seems to indicate that man has only been around for so many thousands of years. That animals have only been around for so many thousands of years. But the Earth itself, as far as the core of the Earth and the oceans and everything, may have been around for longer, because the Bible does say, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. But it goes on to say in the second part of that verse, which is the first verse in Genesis chapter 1, I believe, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So the earth was just like this planet that was just beginning to form back in the day. So it doesn't necessarily say in the account of Genesis, in the creation account, but it's possible that the earth itself existed long before the actual creation account, in which case that would prove certain evolution theories to be accurate, as far as dating of earth layers and so forth. So, you know, I can't say that there is intelligent design without acknowledging science. Anyway, I'm going to make another video and go into other ideas about religion and the beginnings of the world, according to other religions, aside from the Christian religion. So, I will get onto that in my next video. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'm not boring you too much.